as this is clearly a very dramatic moment for this country. Both President Biden and many members of his staff have condemned political violence of all kinds. Nobody anticipated anything of this kind to take place. As someone who travels routinely with the president and formerly with former President Trump and with Mr. Trump as a candidate, the perimeter is usually very tightly protected from a great distance as well. As you saw the U.S. Secret Service quickly swarming the former president before leading him off. You see the SWAT teams who quickly came into position. And I can tell you, having been at many of these Trump rallies, and here's a new picture from one of our colleagues there on the ground, the photojournalists who are in the front row, showing the blood on former president's face and clearly on his ear as well. There he is pumping his fist as he was effectively chanting "fight" to those members, his supporters who were there. The perimeter is usually quite wide here, and having traveled with former President Biden recently when he was overseas in Europe, I was struck by how wide that perimeter was, with snipers in many areas keeping a very close eye. And I suspect many of our colleagues in law enforcement would communicate that for a former president and now the presumptive nominee on the Republican side, there would have been a very wide perimeter. So now that we are told by law enforcement that it's believed that Donald Trump will certainly survive this incident, immediately the questions turn to how this happened, who's responsible for it, and what needs to be done to help better secure any of these political figures over the course of the next several days and weeks, not the least of which begins with the Republican National Convention that's scheduled to start on Monday in Milwaukee. A giant perimeter has been built around the Milwaukee arena, where they're going to be hosting that event. In Washington, a huge perimeter was built for the NATO summit that President Biden was participating in with world leaders as well. But as I'm speaking to you, I'm checking my phone and texting with colleagues, with staff at the White House for any additional information. Jose, as we gather that, we will, of course, share it with you.
Peter Alexander, thank you so very much. Of course, continue monitoring this for us. I want to bring in retired ATF Special Agent Jim Kavanaugh. He was with us tonight. Jim, and when we look at these images, there is so much that tells people like you so much about the trajectory, where it seems that these gunshots or whatever came from. The president was looking towards his right when at least two of what seemed to be gunshots rang out, and then he immediately kind of went towards his right ear as he was dropping. It seems later, Jim, that there may be up to two what appear to be lines right